Hey, Power Stroke Maintenance here. Thank you for coming back to watch another video. I hope you're doing well. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 best upgrades for your Power Stroke 6.7 Super Duty. This is by no means a comprehensive list. This top 5 is my personal opinion and ones that I've done to my trucks. So if you have a different list than mine, definitely drop a comment below and let me know if I missed anything that you think is an important upgrade for the 6.7 Power Stroke. Number 1 on my list for top upgrades for the Power Stroke 6.7 is replacing the Cold Side Intercooler Pipe. The stock Super Duty pipe under any sort of tuning or additional load, if you're going to be towing a lot, it's a very common problem, known issue where that pipe that comes stock on your cold side can rupture under higher boost pressures and tuning. I would replace this even on a new truck. Maybe if you think you're coming to the end of your warranty, you could replace it, but if you don't want to have to deal with the hassle of having a pipe like this blow up when you're towing or just driving around, I would replace that stat. There's a lot of great options out there. I like the S&B pipe, but there's tons of other companies that make great products, so shop around and see what you like and put that on. Number 2 on my list, probably the most important upgrade you can do, is to add the SNS CP4 Disaster Prevention Kit. Now, SNS did just release the DCR pump, which is a direct drop-in replacement to the Bosch CP4. So if you have extra money to spend and you would rather just put in a new pump, I would recommend the DCR. I did not have the 2,000 plus whatever the install cost is for the DCR kicking around, so I decided to go with the SNS Disaster Prevention Kit for my Bosch. It prevents debris from the pump from getting sent into the entire fuel system, and also this return filter keeps debris from going back into your tank. So it protects the rest of the fuel system and isolates the pump so that if it decides to blow itself up, you are protected. Now, this third upgrade may not be essential, but I think it greatly enhances the overall driving experience of the 6.7 Power Stroke, and that is a cold air intake. So a lot of tuners out there know you can get a lot more airflow over stock and potentially pick up 1 to 2 miles per gallon better if you're running a tune and if you have the cold side pipe. I am not running a tune. My truck is still stock Ford tuning, but I have definitely noticed that you hear way more of the turbo with this cold side pipe than you do on a truck that has the stock air intake. I do find that you have to keep an eye on these filters a bit more though, and replace them more often or wash them if you have the washable ones, because they just, by letting more airflow in, they also let more dust in, and so you want to make sure that your filter is not super gummed up and dusty and that you're staying on top of your filter change intervals. But a great upgrade is the cold side pipe. It makes the truck have a little bit more throttle response, get a little bit more air, and just sound cooler, which if you're into that, which I am, it's kind of a cool mod. So cold air intake, cold side pipe for the intercooler, disaster prevention kit, or new fuel pump are upgrades that I think are super important for the engine bay. So now I'm going to move on to 2 more, somewhat lower priority, but essential to me if you're going to be driving your truck a lot, just to improve the ride feel and quality and make the general operation of the vehicle feel much better. So for some people with newer trucks, this may not be something you want to do, but if you spend any time on the web watching techs work on Ford Super Duties, you see pretty quick that the motorcraft shocks and the tremor shocks are nothing but hot garbage. So on my truck, I put the Fox Performance Series 2.0s front and rear. I did the install myself. It was a fairly straightforward install, and so far they are one of my favorite upgrades I've done. They have like the ride quality improvement is insane. I did try the Bilstein 4600 series. I know the 5100 series Bilsteins are a little better. I feel like Fox, the 2.0s are even better still. Just the cornering stability you get with these is unreal. Like, I put them on and it felt like the truck was just on rails going around the corner. It gets rid of body sway. It also makes the truck a lot more composed if you're riding on bumpy roads, which I do quite often when I'm going to and from film shoots. So if you don't want to break the bank and get a Carly kit or a rough country kit and do a full leveling kit, you can fit 35s on your truck and do shocks, and it is an absolute game changer. I love these shocks. They were a really good buy. You know, it's about $800, but if you do those with a steering stabilizer, man, it is just unreal how good the truck feels. And, you know, pair that with a set of 35s or just running the right air pressure, and you can really improve the ride of these trucks. Because if you go with the factory stats, like the factory air pressure, and you're not towing and you're riding on empty and you're on the factory shocks, like these trucks just feel like friggin' covered wagons, man. Like they ride terrible. And it just, I think if you can do a few of these little aftermarket things, like replace the shocks, you know, for $800, if you're driving a lot of miles, it will just improve the driving experience so dramatically. And finally, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is actually in the cab, and it is something that controls the engine, but this might be a modification for you guys who didn't get the upfitter switches from factory, or maybe you want to free up an upfitter switch for something. So I'm going to go into the cab and show you. All right, so I'm gonna crouch down here and hopefully you can see this, but this little guy under here, you see that right there, is the BD high idle control switch. Now you have a plug for high idle on the other side in the kick panel, and I'll go over there and show you where that is, but BD makes this switch that is completely plug and play, no tuning or coding required, and you can plug it in. I ran my wire underneath the dash, and then there's a little screw right next to your OBD2 port here. You can take off one of these bolts and then screw in this little controller here without having to drill. Some people drill into the dash here and put it around here somewhere. You can definitely do that, but I kind of like how discreet this is here, and it lets you control the RPMs from 900 up to 3000. So whether you're trying to keep the AC cold, you're trying to keep the heat warm in the winter, or you're doing a parked regen, this switch is amazing. And I want to say it was $100 or less, so super affordable upgrade, and something that's well worth your time if you want a little weekend project that isn't going to break the bank. So here I'm going to take you guys over and I'll show you the kick panel where you can install that. Definitely worth checking out. PTT with A-Rod has a bunch of install videos on that. So if you come over here, there's a kick panel. So if you just pull this out here, I'm going to move this a little bit. You'll see I have this dongle right here, and that actually plugged into a plug that was marked out. It had a couple wires here, but it's marked out pretty well, and you can follow A-Rod's video to do the install. But you literally just plug it in, and then you run the wire underneath your dashboard, use some zip ties. It's super straightforward, but the plug for that is in the kick panel here. So, you know, my truck did not come, as you'll see, with the outfitter switches. I just didn't have them because it was an XLT and didn't have a super fancy electronic package. But maybe you have upfitter switches and you're trying to free one up for something else, or maybe you don't want to have to do all the wiring to get the upfitter switch connected. You can plug in this little thing and it's ready in like 30 minutes, and it works flawlessly. I haven't had any issues with it. All right, well, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you for watching this video. To recap, the top 5 best upgrades in my humble opinion for the PowerStroke 6.7 are the Cold Side Intercooler Pipe, the SNS Disaster Prevention Kit, the cold air intake, aftermarket shocks, whether they're Bilstein, Fox, or something else, and then finally the BD high idle switch. So that is my top 5 list. If you, after watching this video, are like, hey, I think you missed something, leave me a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear what upgrades you think are super important for this truck to get them up to high mileage. Comment, be sure to subscribe. I do videos every Wednesday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.